Hello real world, it's Dr. Keith, your VR doctor, standing on the top of a mountain in Val Thorens to tell you a little bit more about injuries and how you can understand them. Now that's a medical topic. What I'm interested in today is looking at how consulting in virtual reality can give you new tools to better understand what's happening. So I visited this briefly before and I tried to do a little demonstration with a drawing of an ear and then even a 3D model of an ear that I tried to do. As it stands, Facebook Spaces and other social VR, as far as I'm aware, doesn't provide you with that tool to allow you to import many things. Now, Facebook Spaces is different in this regard because it allows me to import all sorts of media. For example, I can import photos, I can import videos, 360 videos, and also 3D objects. Now, the process of doing that so far is a little bit tricky. You have to use a product called Medium, which is an excellent clay sculpting tool, and then build things and then import them into Facebook Spaces. Now that's what I've been doing to try and create some objects, and I tried to create a knee, and sadly that looked a little bit like another rather rude part of the body. So we decided not to go with that, and today I'm going to talk to you about shoulders. So why am I standing on the top of a mountain here? Well, again, I love skiing. And a few years ago, I managed to break my shoulder. This one, whilst skiing. I was coming down a run and then I ill-advisedly carved into a friend of mine. We both fell over. I hit this arm and my arm flung forward like this, thereby injuring an insertion of a muscle, the supraspinatus, as it comes over the shoulder into its insertion here on the arm. Now, I was skiing with a bunch of orthopedic doctors and A&E consultants, and they kindly told me that I just sprained it and to get on with the skiing. And of course, a week later, I had my x-ray and they told me I'd broken my shoulder. So it makes for a good story. But the really important thing here is that the act of happening, I was then presented with an x-ray to try and explain what was going on. Now, I understand anatomy at least a little bit, not as well as I used to. But even then, I still found it kind of difficult to understand what was going on. So what would a doctor ordinarily do, or a physiotherapist or a surgeon do in these circumstances? Well, what they might do is they might just draw you a picture. So if I lean over here and grab my pen, they might say, oh, well, let's maybe use a bit of white here. So, Dr. Grimes, this is your shoulder blade. And there is your humerus just here. And what you've done, as I pick up some red, is taken this muscle here, the supraspinatus, and the tendon as it inserts down here. And as you came down suddenly, that tore off. And that's why you've got a break there. So that's quite nice. The thing about that that's nice is because it's dynamic. But then afterwards you look at this and go, what is all this about? You know, it's just a bunch of squiggles. But what you may also then do, if I just clear this away, is that you might use pictures. And I've got some pictures here to hand. So you might be handled something like this, or even something like this. So here's a nice picture of a scapula here. I'll just move this back a little bit. And you can see, it looks huge to me right now. It's right next to my head, to you, fairly normal. So this is a rear view of the right shoulder. And so when I told you about my injury, the supraspinatus comes across and attaches just here on the greater tuberosity. And in the act of me crashing, I managed to tear that bit off and break it. So it was painful, disturbed sleep and all that, but I'm okay now. So you can see how it's there, and you can see that you've got a muscle under here. This is the infraspinatus, meaning below the spine of the scapula, and then the teres minor. And these three muscles comprise part of the rotator cuff, which helps stabilize and move the shoulder joint. And then if you wanted to look at the front, got another picture here. What's nice in here as well is that if I just clear this out of the way, is I can resize this quite easily. So let's make it bigger. There you go. Embiggen it. And this is from the front, so the chest would be on the front here. There's a view through, and this is the underside of the same thing. This is the right shoulder. There's the clavicle, the collarbone, there's the humerus, and here is the large subscapularis, meaning underneath the scapula, a muscle that attaches on the front, and along with the other teres muscle, can help form the other side of the rotator cuff. So again, my injury came off here. So I'm beginning to understand a little bit more about this, but I think we can do better with virtual reality. Now, presenting to you here just now, you can see this, but if you're inside virtual reality, these objects appear very real, they're very large. Let me just clear it out, and let me pick up something I prepared earlier. And this is a shoulder, that same shoulder. Now, I have to confess that so Medium is a clay modeling tool, so it's all a little bit rough. But maybe after I show that anatomy before, you might recognize this big white bone here is the shoulder blade, the scapula, there's the humerus, There's the subscapularis and the teres major with the tendons wrapping around. But the thing is here is I can turn it around. And you can see other models here as well. So this is the back. There's the spine of the scapula, supraspinatus on the top. And you can see how the tendon wraps through this narrow little space. People with impingement syndrome, this is your problem here, and attaches to the bone. So I think that seeing an object like this can really help with understanding. You've got to be quite lucky to have an object that big and that convenient. But maybe you do. But in VR, you can use all these assets and have every joint in the body described the way you want. Now, Facebook Spaces is amazing, but not quite ready to do complex modeling. So what I have done is I've broken this down into its component parts so I could break it apart from a viewer as well. So I'll move this out of the way. Now, this is going to take a moment's assembly, but I've got my scapula, my humerus, let's see, there we go, attached in space. And if I get this, this is the musculature from the underside. If I just tack it on there, and then the muscles at the back, and I'm just going to lean around the back here, oh, and tuck it in. That's a very strange sensation. There you go. That doesn't look so good. But here you have it. You have all the muscles, and I can actually, at this point, pick one up and peel it away and say, well, look, let's have a look at the joint here. Let's have a closer look. And you can see inside here is the joint cavity, and you've got the head of the humerus just there. So I could maybe show you a little bit more about what was going on up there, and I can articulate this joint, or even take this joint away and show you the remainder here. So this is just a whistle-stop tour today. I'm having to make good with the tools that I have to hand. But you can imagine how a fully featured clinical version of this, or even any more advanced version of social VR, would allow you to import 3D models that may be animated as well to make things a bit easier for you to understand. And if you have that, how powerful it is here, how powerful it would be if you're actually inside. Only tonight I've spoken to my cousin's partner who's had a knee injury, and I was able to explain to him using a knee model what exactly happened in his knee, what was going on. And that's really powerful. That's helped him understand and therefore adhere to the treatment plan. Understanding is the key. Common understanding is the key. And the power of virtual reality and augmented reality as it comes along is going to be coming to that shared understanding that much easier and maybe a little bit more fun. So today, I'm going to spend the rest of the time sitting out here and enjoying the cool, fresh air here on the mountaintop. But if you want to know more, why don't you follow me on The VR Doctor on Twitter, or join us on VR Doctors on Facebook. And you can, of course, visit my website, www.drgrimes.co.uk, where this and all my other videos are linked. So for now, please continue listening, please continue watching, please continue telling me what it is you want to see, because I really want to explore with you about what's possible here. So for now, before I ski off and maybe break the other arm, it's goodbye from virtual reality, and I'm going to see you next time. Goodbye now.